It's a velvety, yummy, amazing potato soup, and I've got a couple of tips to share with you. Hi everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. It is Tuesday, and what I'm going to share with you as my tip is a couple of little special ingredients that I use when making soup. I think it's a great tip. It's something that I have been doing for a long time, and I also do this with sauces such as red pasta sauces and different types of soup. So let me explain what that is, and let me tell you what we're going to talk about. Actually, we're going to talk about this. This is a container of freshly made potato soup, and for my potato soup, there are so many recipes that you can find online, so many variations, but I'm going to tell you a couple of little tips that I do to get a really flavorful potato soup. I also share this with my mom. She is not particularly fond of onions, so I think that's an important aspect to a good potato soup. So what I use are leeks, and if you're not familiar with leeks, they're kind of bulbous and green, and they're easy to use, and they're really delicious, and you don't even know that they're in the soup, but they have such a wonderful flavor. And what I do is I get my leeks from the store, I cut them right down the center, open them up, they're kind of like a little accordion, soak them in my sink full of nice cold water, let them soak, and you'll see that there's dirt inside there, get it out. Then I just kind of slice them up. And so what I do for my potato soup is, one of my tips is I like using yellow potatoes or Yukon Gold, if you can get those, because I think these potatoes hold up really well in the soup, and they're sweeter, and I like the flavor of them a lot better. So when I'm making potato soup, I'm going for the yellow type of potatoes. And what I do is I peel and quarter my potatoes, and then I wash them in really cold water, and then I cut them in pretty good sized chunks. I don't want to make them too small because then it tends to make the soup too mushy. And I put them in the pan, and then I fill them just to the top, and I like to use vegetable broth or chicken broth. I think it adds a lot of flavor. So when I'm ready to bring that to a boil, I always do it over a medium-low boil and let them come to fork tender potatoes on the inside, maybe just a little bit firm, because I usually do end up emulsifying. But one of my main secrets is, as those potatoes are simmering in that nice broth, I like to add, usually it's a leftover piece of Parmesan Reggiano cheese with the rind, and just stick it right in that boiling broth. Now I do this for my sauces because it melts into the broth, it melts into the soup, and you can see it'll get really soft, and then it just flavors whatever you're doing like super well. So back to the leeks, I use 2 to 3 leeks. I use 2 to 3 stalks, big nice hearty stalks of celery. I will usually take a carrot and just chop that up really fine. Sometimes I add grilled corn. If your family likes that, you can add that all to the stock after the potatoes have cooked. Now what I do is I saute the leeks in some olive oil. I flavor it with garlic, pepper, salt, seasoning, and add the celery, and just kind of let it all get nice and sauteed to a soft consistency. And then I add it to the pot of the potatoes. And then once I do that, I kind of let the potatoes come to that nice simmer. I do test and taste the broth to make sure that I have enough of the other seasoning, because I think a really good potato soup needs a good amount of salt for those potatoes and a good amount of pepper. And so the other tip that I have when making potato soup, especially if you kind of want to cut down on not doing a cream base for your potato soup and cut down on you know, adding bacon and all of that, I have found, and this is by Deliciou spice. I've never ordered from them before, but I decided to try this original bacon seasoning. Makes anything taste like bacon. So when the soup was completely done, I sprinkled a good heaping serving of this all over the soup and mixed it up, and it really picked up that bacon flavoring. And this stuff is great. I've used it in my eggs so that it kind of lets me think that I'm eating bacon and eggs when I want to cut down on the fat. Then what I do at the very end is, instead of making a roux, which you can do for your potato soup, but I just add a little bit of half and half. That's what I had on hand, just to kind of change the consistency of the broth to where it gets that you know, more of a white look and not just lighter in color, but also creamy, adds that velvety texture to the soup. And over here I have a cup of hot soup that I have heated up, and I'm just going to show you that this is kind of the consistency that I leave it. Some chunks and then some very creamy. And I do that with an emulsifier, and that emulsifier mushes down the potatoes and also blends up your leeks and celery, and you have control over how you want your potato soup consistency. So those two things that I think make soup taste really great, one is adding a little piece of rind and all of Parmesan Reggiano, and for potato soup especially, adding some bacon flavoring. Not rocket science here, guys, just what I do to enjoy a hearty bowl of potato soup that is kind of cut down on the fat. So what I'll do is I'll fix this up. I add a little sprinkle of grated sharp cheddar cheese. This just happens to be from Kraft. And here I've cut up some chives, and I'll sprinkle those on the top because I do like a great onion flavor, and I like to use just a dollop of sour cream, not anything too much, but just keeping it down and you know, calorie wise. But you can see this is super thick and just has a great amount of flavor, lots of pepper and salt and a little bit of garlic seasoning. If you're a potato lover, you're gonna love this. Now, like I said, you can add some grilled corn to your soup. You can add a chunkier bunch of carrots. And if you don't like it emulsified down, then just use a hand masher. You want to do something to thicken this up. Otherwise, you would have to make more of a roux with some flour and butter. But like I said, there's all kinds of recipes online for potato soup. But I really think what really flavors this are the leeks. They are delicious. They add such a sweetness to the soup, and you don't even know they're in it. And then, of course, a little sprinkle of that bacon. It's my Tuesday tip for hearty soup. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you later this week, and we're going to be talking trash stash. Yep, I have a bucket full of trash. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what your favorite soups are, or if you have any little tips that you would like to share. I would love to hear them. So until my next video, I'm going to get back to this soup because it's really good. Be kind, be humble, and age gracefully. Bye.